shuts off the logical side of, like, you know, reasoning and thinking. It's like if you get involved in a fight, you're full of adrenaline, and your fight or flight responses start being triggered. So that thinking, logical side in the front, you know, in the frontal part of your brain just is gone, is shut off, because, you know, you're responding on other areas. And it's just that balance. It's responding and not reacting.
I think what you're saying is nothing you say when you're angry is correct, which is probably true. And that also goes along with those other, I don't know what to call them, sayings that are like, don't make a promise when you're happy, don't change your life when you're sad, anything like that.
Yeah.
That's along the line.
Yeah.
Be aware of your emotional state before you make a decision. That's, I think, what it boils down to. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, no, completely. Yeah.
What's up, Johnny?
How you doing? Yeah, your emotional state plays a massive part in it, and I think, like, we react and we don't respond to situations. You know, especially over text. I mean, if you're in a relationship and you're talking to someone, like, communication is a massive thing. Like, you can say something, we're all perceiving and painting a picture of what we are seeing. So yeah, we you know, one person might say something, and we might, you know, people have external things happening and other things that might happen in their day, and you might say something that pisses that person off and just blows them off.
Yep, 100% agree.
Especially with what's happening in the world right now. I mean, the situation, you know, the world's a bit of a crazy place at the minute, and people can't do the things that they wanted to usually do, you know, what brought them happiness. They're not seeing friends and family. So there's a lot of high tensions, and then you throw certain things that, you know, happen in the media. You know, everyone's kind of, you know, dealing with their own frustration or their own, you know, mental health. And it, you know, people, you know, are probably more susceptible to reacting to certain things based on that.
Yep. I mean, can't argue against that. That's all correct.
But, like, if you always wanted to go into, like, music management and what you're doing, or is there been, like, other areas that you've wanted to go into?
Oh, my dream is kind of like, how do I describe this? You know, just that the guy who does everything. You know, I'll know the people to be able to do anything. You know, if I wake up one day, Tuesday, 8 a.m., it's 2027, and I want to start a fast food restaurant, and I can call up my guy Jim and say, hey Jim, I want to start a fast food restaurant.
Yeah.
That's my goal. I just want to be able to do anything, because a lot of the time during the day I'll just have these random thoughts like, oh my God, it would be so cool to have a air shipping business, you know, where I fly planes and ship packages, and I just have those random thoughts throughout the day. And I think once I get there, once I get to a certain level of wealth and connectedness, I just want to be able to execute on those things. But as far as music goes, right now I really want to build my management company, Roche Management, and then I kind of want to have a bunch of other things stem off of that. So I want to own promotion companies. I really want to vertically integrate. So I learned this from reading a biography. Who was it? John D. Rockefeller, richest man in history.
Yeah, Rockefeller.
Inflation adjusted net worth about $400 billion.
Yeah.
He controlled like 95% of the oil in the U.S. and he made a lot of his money by vertically integrating, which is he extracted the oil, and then he owned the refineries, and then he owned the railways where he would ship the oil, and then he would own the gas stations and all of that. So that's what I want to do with music, right? I want to be able to first own the studio, record the music, and then own the management agency, manage the artist, and have a stake in the show booking agency so I can book shows, and secretly own a video brand, music video brand, or music promotion brand where I can promote the music. So that's my perfect music company in my mind, and I don't see that happen a lot. Maybe it's all behind the scenes, I just don't know, but I think someone would do really well if they could do that, and that's my goal.
Yeah. Well, I think, like, you know, it's good that you have like a goal in sight and you have this dream of going into that. And I think, like, it's so important to have a dream and a goal, and, you know, things that are, to have goals that are bigger than ourselves. You know, that's the key, isn't it? You know, to surround yourself with people who, you know, aspire to be like someone who's better than you, to have goals that are bigger than us ourselves, and it gives us that motivation to work towards it. It's like Gary Vee always says, I'm going to buy the New York Jets.
I love when he does that, because nobody else at his age says things like that.
Yeah.
And I also love that he actually might do it someday.
Oh, yeah,
but it's super big. Even for him, it's super big. I mean, I've heard his net worth is like just less than $10 million, right? The Jets are how much? I think I looked it up. It was $1.2 billion. Does that sound right? I love how he says that and how he believes. He says it. I believe in him too. And yeah, I think that's a great thing to do, even if it's unrealistic.
Yeah.
Just don't be delusional, but you can be unrealistic. I know those kind of sound the same.
Yeah.
But there's a possibility he could do it. He's not saying I'm going to become a trillionaire, but he is setting a super high realistic goal for himself. And it also helps that he plans on working until he's like 100. He doesn't care. He I'm like him. He's like me, where we like what we do, and even if it drains us out of 15 hours of energy a day, we don't care because we like it.
Yeah, that's it. And it's like, you know, you'd rather do something that you are passionate about and enjoy, put the time in. Like, you know, like you get people, I know people have got to work, and we want to work and do something, but there are people out there who do jobs that they hate for 8 hours a day, and then they're drained for the rest of the evening. They're drained for the rest of the weekend. Because, you know, and like, I always say to people, you know, do that, keep doing what you're doing. He says, if you got rich, how would you invest?
Thank you for that question, Harrison. What would I do? I probably wouldn't do stocks or anything. I do a little bit of that, but I would buy companies. Oh, sorry, I just flipped the camera. There we go. Yeah, I would buy companies. So I would try to vertically integrate, buy music promotion companies. Oh, hey Pat, how are you doing? That's my cousin.
Nice.
Good to see him here. I would buy music companies. So I'd buy a studio, even if it didn't immediately vertically integrate, because I think I would just make changes to the business and further expand my empire.
Yeah. And I think with that, whilst doing that as well, I mean, people can make so much money through advertising. I mean, you know, with the internet and social media today, there's almost no excuse really when you think about it. You think of these, you think like years ago, you flip this back, 2020, 40, 50 years ago, and people making music back then, like how they made music, like, and how they got their voice out there, and how they market themselves. And like there was no internet, you know, back in the 40s and the 50s. it was all about meeting up, getting together, singing at a show, and word of mouth in the newspaper and the radio.
I actually think about that a lot. I think, what would it be like to do stuff without the internet? And I honestly think I would have fun doing that. If right now, if you transported me back to 1940, I would be like, oh, I'm gonna sell things. Because I just think that would be really fun. You know, for some reason, I think about that a lot. Advertising without the internet, even though it's crucial now, I think it would have been really fun just buying billboards and putting out newspaper ads and selling things on the corner. I think I would excel then more than I do now.
It's like you said, it's those people skills, isn't it? It's those people skills, because back then it's communication, you know, face to face or probably over the phone, whereas now it's so much over like the, you know, social media and technology base, isn't it? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But like you said, if you're very good at in personal situations, interacting with people, you would probably, like you say, benefit in that environment.
Let's read that. I saw an article by Dr. Dre saying, social media destroys the artist's mystique because everything is put out for people to see. There's nothing left to the imagination. Thank you for that, Pat.
Yeah.
I kind of believe that. I mean, yes, it could do that, but I mean, obviously there's the advertising part of it, and I think if you were an artist, you'd rather 100 people, or you'd rather like 1,000 people like you without your mystique, and 100 people like you with your mystique, because obviously that's more fans. But I also think that you can do that with social media. Like, you know, kind of like Kanye, how he tweets. He tweets very interestingly. And, I think he maintains his mystique like that. Or Playboy Cardi, where nobody really ever sees him on social media. He posts, but he doesn't interact. So I think you can, and the way he talks, you know, have you ever seen Playboy Cardi talk? He talks really weirdly, and he tweets in his own made-up language. And so I definitely think it's possible to keep your mystique by doing that. But that's the hard thing. I also think about this a lot. You can't be a mysterious artist when nobody knows you. So somehow you do have to get people that know you. Social media is the best way to do that. You can't have like 300 followers on Instagram and 20 monthly listeners on Spotify, and then go ghost for a year and a half or 2 years like Lil Uzi did, because who's gonna miss you? Like, you have to get to a certain amount of fame before you can stop doing things that get you fame. Like, being mysterious never builds suspense for someone that has like under 1 million followers. But true, there's a right way to do it. It's almost impossible to survive as an artist without social media. Yeah, that is correct. And I don't have a problem with that. You know, I know how to use social media, and I think that also, it kind of tells artists to be smart, you know. Now, even if you make good music, you have to be smart in other aspects to survive as an artist, and I think that's a good thing, because we're weeding out the stupid artists that don't really deserve to do that.
Yeah.
So I think it's good that there is another factor limiting your success if you can't do it, because it's like survival of the fittest. If you're not good at marketing, you're not going to do well, and then you should go teach yourself about marketing if you're not going to do well on social media. And I know, Pat, you do well. I'm not talking about you. Your lives and your posts, good stuff.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like, as an artist, like, you're like a one-man band, aren't you? Like, you've got to market yourself in all these different areas. It's not just the music.